Why, hello and welcome everybody. It is Pohx again. So today we're going to talk to you guys about some of the customization, character customization, and a little bit of gear progression as well in Devilian. This is really important because you kind of want to feel like you're a bit different than the character, the guy next to you playing the same class, or you want to know if there's ways that you can kind of be unique within yourself, We all want to feel a sense of customization and achievement when we create our character. So first off, I can only personally speak for my Cannoneer because I have not played the other classes. But I've got good reviews from my Cannoneer class. So first off, if you press K and open up your skill tree, you're given 45 points to distribute between your 3 trees. Now, this is changing upon release. Right now, our max level is 54. I do believe it's going to be taken down to 52, and then a final expansion is going to take us to 60. I don't know 100%. This is alpha. Everything is up in the air at the moment. But this is the way it works. You've got three subclasses of your character. So I'm playing a Cannoneer. I've got Opportunist, Demolitioner, and Gunslinger. Each role kind of works for certain things, if that makes sense. So like, Opportunist is kind of like AoE, quick on the go, moving. Demolitioner is more of like stationary, mad deeps, but I'm gonna die if someone doesn't peel for me. Gunslinger is kind of like a little bit of utility. It's got a good slow, it's got a movement speed buff, but at the same time, it's got insane AoE, and it's got like one of the hardest hitting abilities. So each one is kind of a little bit unique. You can see a little skill box here to show you the way it works. So in alpha currently, I don't know how it's going to be on beta or release. It's 100% free to reset. You just click reset, and that's it. You're done. You can distribute however many points you want. You just have to make sure you follow by this alignment here. I believe some people said they could compare this to Titan's Quest, or I know personally Grim Dawn. The way it works is you need to just allocate, say, 1 point till you get here, and then 3 points till you get here, 5 points to get here. Does that make sense? And the way it works is you've got boxes are active skills, and circles are passive skills to augment the active skill. At the last bar, you have 3 circles, which are global passives that either only affect your current subtree or a global, like all of your subtrees. So there's also one other thing you can do to kind of make your character a little unique, is when you max out all the passives for it, it becomes a mastery ranked skill. So for example, I'm going to go over to Gunslinger right now, and I'm going to go ahead and completely reset my Gunslinger style reset. So in here, we're going to grab Salamander's March. We're going to pick up passives, not because I want the skill, but because I need to pick up passives to move on to the next one. You can see here, I've got 3 points allocated. I want to get to here, so I need 5. So we'll put Shock in and 1 point here. This will open up the next tier. Take Incinerate Prank. Now you can see what the skill does now. It's 328% damage, explosion count 2. The mastery version of it increases the damage by a little bit, but adds a 3rd explosion, which if you total how much damage it is, that's pretty insane for a mastery rank. So we're going to reduce the cooldown, pick up the crit damage, and boom, it's now mastery ranked. So it's pretty neat in a sense, what you're able to do with your character. But again, I'm sure there's going to be cookie cutter setups where like, oh, you have to main this tree or else we don't want you for here. This happens in every game. Personally, I don't really give a shit because I just run with my friends and we seem to be very good at what we do, so I don't really care. Fuck the meta. Anyway, though, moving on. You now have gear progression and talisman progression, which I forgot to say at the beginning. I'm going to talk about the talisman progression first. Talismans are like a subsection of gear. Think of it like runes, except you don't socket them in your gear, you just have them right here. And they cost nothing to respec. You just pull them on, pull them off, and you have 2 trees. One for your Devilian form, one for your regular form. Now, cards work like this. You've got ranking star 1 to ranking star 5 cards, and they add stats. So, for example, this adds 39 agility. It's a tier 1 card. 39 agility, I have 420, coincidentally, total agility. So adding 39, if you subtract it, that's about what, like 381? That's not bad. Like that's a pretty good amount for this little noob shit 1-star card. And that's just one of my total 5 that you can have. You cannot stack the same card's effects, so you cannot have like a 1-star agility, 2-star agility, 3-star agility, etc. So you've got cards like, you pretty much have a card for every stat in the game. You've got agility, you've got, let's see, agility, strength, intel, fortitude, physical attack, physical crit chance is on a 5-star. Critical damage, I believe, is attached to the 5-star. Penetration, penetration chance, penetration value, I think these two are on the 5-star. Magic defense, physical defense, evasion, evasion chance. So you've got a card for pretty much every stat. And again, you can mix and match 5 of them, however you choose to do it. Also, if you decide to make a full set of them, you can see this little noob shit card. His set is 3% movement speed. Now, granted, I'm not really sure why you would want to put, you know, strength, intel, agility, fortitude on one character, but you know what, man? It's your build, bro. You do what you want. As long as you top charts, nobody's going to complain. All right. Also, to get these guys up in ranking, you need to fuse them together. So you've got options like combining. So you combine it. You basically put a card in, and then you sacrifice all your little newbie cards into him, and then the experience goes up and up and up and up. Anytime it gets to rank 15, and every 5 levels after 15, you need to find the same exact card, which can be really difficult if it's like a 4 or 5-star, and you have to fuse them together to be able to break the barrier, and then it can go to 20, and then 25, and then 30. There's also some other features like promoting, which I'm not really sure how it works because I can't promote little noob shit over here, so we have to figure out how that works as well. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that a lot of games you run dungeons and you get these random white things and you don't know what they're for. This game's not like that. A lot of gear in this game is bind on pickup, or it's kind of like Diablo similar style where you could trade for an hour with anyone in your party. This prevents people from selling the best gear on the auction house, and people actually kind of have to work for it. Naturally, people, of course, are going to get carried, but I believe it's a more fair system rather than just influenced off RNG. I don't know how the 10-man raids work in terms of loot allocation, but of course everyone's most likely going to get separate gear. So now, going on into it, gear that you get aside from whites, so any blues, greens, purples, etc., when you break them down, you actually get you get magic dust. Magic dust is used for crafting. Specifically, it's used for crafting talismans. So everything kind of goes together. It's really nice. Like, you run your dungeons, you get your gold, you get your gear, you get your talisman boxes, you get your experience or your dust. And it's really cool the way it all works. Also, when you get purple gear that's not for your class, which is kind of like what I'm hunting for right now, and you break it down, you actually do get a little bit of a currency, which is used to straight up buy a new purple piece of gear, which is insane. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about gear progression now, which I talked about a little bit in a previous video. I'm here to talk about it a bit more. So, to start off, we'll just start off with blue gear. Blue gear has 3 stats. If you look at my current ribbon, it's got additional damage, attack speed, and ice resistance. Every piece of gear that I've seen, regardless of set bonus, can roll their own set of stats. So like a chest piece cannot roll the same stats as a shoulder. I mean, maybe they can, but you know what I mean? Each one has its own bracket of rules. So for example, I cannot roll agility on every piece of gear. So naturally, you cannot stack the same stats on every piece. You have to kind of understand what piece of gear can roll within what stats. So some are purely made for like defensive purposes, some are purely offensive, some are more utility. But on top of that, when you upgrade to a purple piece, right, it gets 4 stats, which you can see here. This one has agility, penetration, champion, boss damage, resist. When you get to orange gear, which is rating, you get 5 stats. And it becomes almost like a nightmare, which I like, because this is where the grind comes in, to get the proper stats on your gear. On top of getting the proper stats, you've got like the rolls that it has to roll between. So, and that's what you use refining stones for, to like increase or it's kind of random. Basically, you roll it. If it goes higher, you take it. If it doesn't go higher, you just go away, goodbye. So that's why that's why I like the game at the moment, because there's not really any pay to win in the sense of you don't just upgrade your gear. You're not just like, oh, here's a piece of gear, let me put in $300. Oh, look, it's +6. Hey guys, I'm gonna go one shot. No, it doesn't work like that. You gotta actually work for it to get your gear, which is really cool for right now. You know, of course, everything's up in the air. I'm not promoting the game and say buy it, it's the best game in the world. The game's in alpha, you know, purchase at your own risk. But so far, it's really, really nice. All right, now the gearing up process as well. Really simply, if you go to your looking for group here, you've got basic dungeons, which you'll run. There's quite a few dungeons. If you guys want to scroll down the list and count, I can't tell you specifically. Just make sure you're not counting the same name twice, because there's basic, there's heroic, there's purgatory, and then there's Archdevil, which no one has actually been able to clear Agony Device yet. We got to the last boss, and he's a piece of shit. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about your gear. So, one thing I left off, which is actually really, really, really important, is your gear can usually roll between, I think it's 1 to 3 skills. When I say 1 to 3, I mean like one of the 3. So for example here, shock extra movement speed minus 30%. So I've got the skill shock. shock already slows them for like 60%. Now it makes it slow for like 90%. Mobs pretty much don't move. And some of these skills are pretty like, they're pretty groundbreaking. Like, they're really important. So you gotta get the right piece of gear. So you gotta get like a ribbon, for example, or a shoulder. You gotta roll it with the right stat, and then you gotta find these other things, which we'll talk about here shortly, to get the right stats. So for example, here's one. Piercing Whirlwind, Vigor cost reduction, and Whirlwind damage increased by 20%. This is my main spam. This is this skill if anyone has watched a live stream. It is the #1 main spam that I have. Increasing the damage by 20% and reducing the Vigor cost by 2 is pretty nuts. You've got ones for like your ultimate ones as well. You've got so many different ones, and they are really, really strong. There's also these little runes you get, which you can sock into your gear. You can see I have one in here. Alon's Courage, which gives me 142 magical attack. You cannot buy these out of the cash shop either, to my knowledge. So this is another portion of the game where you get these gems, and it's really cool because you've got gems, then they've got resistances, and your gems will pretty much drop depending on the tier of dungeon you're running, so you can keep up with it. And they also make up a large portion of what you do, which is just pretty much just raw damage or raw survivability. I know this is a lot to take in at once. You can watch the video numerous times. It helps me. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so last thing is I just wanted to talk about how you kind of get into running these dungeons, and then that should pretty much conclude the video. Alright, so you've got your regular little newbie dungeons you run at basics. Then you get to about mid-50s or so, and or I guess about 50 in general, and you can start running heroics. So if I were to click a heroic here and go to enter dungeon, the loot pile for heroics is all blues. Now you can actually choose with a drop down menu how difficult you want the dungeon to be. It goes up to +3, I believe. The harder you set it, the more loot you get. That's the way it works. So if you want to run it on a harder difficulty, you're rewarded with more loot, which is really nice. And you can see here, this is a ice property dungeon, so it's natural that you would like to have ice resistance on your character, which you can see right over here. And by running the dungeon itself, you actually will get ice crystals, so you can craft more resistance to take less damage. So I thought that was really cool. Like, if you want to farm a specific thing, each dungeon gives you the same rewards. I don't know how raids are, but if you need to up your resistances for raids, it's not totally random. You know where you're supposed to farm. Then we've got the last one, which I was going to talk about, which was your Paragon, which I talked about as well in the previous video, so I'll just go over it really, really quickly. Paragon is right here. Proficiency. You've got Paragon level, which you can pretty much upgrade any stat that you previously had. You've got Strength, Intelligence, Agility, Fortitude. Then in the Valor section, you've got like Gunslinger, which is your class damage itself, you know, like your subtrees. So you've got a bunch of different things you can choose. So even though you hit max level, because you know that's when the gear grind starts in pretty much every game, you're still gaining experience. So it's not like if you ran 10 runs and got nothing, you didn't gain anything. You did gain something. So you know that's nice for me. That's really nice because, you know, there's always those people that are like, man, I ran this like 50 times. I always roll a 2. Why can't I ever get anything? It's like, here you go, man. Shut up. You're getting something. So, I thought this was pretty cool as well. But anyway, that's pretty much going to be it and conclude the video. If you guys liked it, you know, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I can't wait because in this upcoming month, there's so much content to be released. You know, we've got Tree of Savior coming up. I think Blade and Soul, I forgot if it's this month or the month after. There's another new game I'm going to be playing that's going into beta. I think there's like 2 other games that are coming out. So, man, I gotta really buckle up and get ready. So anyway, I will catch you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Remember to check out the live stream at twitch.tv/Pohx. I'm going to go punch my cat in the face, and I hope you guys do as well. Have a good one, everybody.